I would like to welcome you to say a few. Audrey and all the SPREP team and all those that have contributed to make it such a success. If we could give them all a big hand. I know they're busy.
Thank you, the Honorable Prime Minister Tonga and the Secretary General of the United Nations, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, the Director General of the Secretariat of the Pacific Regional Environment SPREP, Mr. Latu, Bulavinaka, and very good afternoon to you all. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this evening wraps up a very busy week for me here in Madrid. I've had Talanoa with youth leaders, told a story of hope, innovation and opportunity to our allies in the private sector, shared, of course, bowls of kava with friends old and new outside there, and I've advocated for accessible and affordable international climate finance. But ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, priority number one this week has been advancing the Ocean Pacific pathway. It has been an honor to stand with our Pacific family as we've pushed the rest of the world to create a channel in the UNFCCC process to recognize the climate crisis is an oceans crisis. Over the past 7 days, it's often felt as if I'm traversing the world just in navigating these halls and pavilions. But in all I've seen, the energy and the ambition of this Moana Pavilion has been unmatched. As we've proved at so many COPs before, our pavilion is never defined by which country or indeed which hemisphere it sits. Instead, it is defined by the people who gather within it and the passion we infuse into it. For the past 2 weeks, at this Blue COP, this Moana Pavilion has been home to ideas that shape and inspire the global conversation, none more so than the Ocean Pacific pathway. All week long, I've been hammering home a Pacific-led ultimatum. If the world continues to neglect and abuse the health of our oceans, we will bench our most valuable player in the climate action campaign. I could take this evening to remind you of the human consequences of the path we're on. I've shared that story many times this week. So I'd rather take this opportunity to speak about what gives me hope in this campaign, to speak about what we have achieved, and to cover where this campaign must head. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, since the Ocean Pathway's launch at COP23, Fiji's COP23, we've brought on board national and local governments and a wide range of other committed champions to our friends of the Ocean Coalition. And that team has spoken with one united voice, amplified through the Chilean presidency of this Blue COP, to request a dialogue be convened on the ocean's climate nexus by the chair of the 52nd session of the subsidiary body for scientific and technological advice. And that was, I think, the topic of discussion this afternoon. But earlier today, we launched the coalition for the 100% sustainable management of the ocean in pursuit of our ambitious mission to secure comprehensive management of our EEZ, with 30% declared marine protected areas by 2030. Yesterday, we joined the Commonwealth Secretary General to advance the Oceans and Climate Action Pathway as part of the Commonwealth Blue Charter, alongside our friends from the World Wildlife Foundation. This Sydney fire is getting in. Alongside our friends from the World Wildlife Foundation, we also advocated for the health of our coral reef, some of the world's richest and most at risk ecosystems. But the week's most critical work has been underway in the hall next door. There, our Pacific negotiators have gone country by country to build a global coalition to support recognition of the ocean's text. The final decision text has not yet emerged, as we all understand. Regardless, we have started a wave of oceanic momentum. COP26, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, will mark 5 years since the achievement of the Paris Agreement. Those years of interventions must amount to something. All the words we've spoken must lead to something. And all our people's continued suffering at the hands of the higher emitters must count for something. Whether it is on land or in our seas, the unchecked rise of global emissions is unleashing untold destruction. At the end of the day, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, nothing matters more for ocean's health than supplying the global commitments necessary to meet the 1.5-degree target. We need to see more ambitious NDCs materialize. The clock is ticking. Come November 2020, whoever has been chosen to lead the United Kingdom following today's election should be prepared to oversee one of the most consequential COPs in history. As Pacific leaders, we'll be arriving in Glasgow with immense and immovable expectations for global action. Our eyes and the eyes of billions of concerned global citizens are on the leaders of developed economies. In achieving net zero, we will be accepting zero excuses. For now, it's more than Moana. But as we close out this decade, let us carry this pavilion's legacy forward into 2020 and beyond. I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad. God bless you all. Thank you.
Tēnā koutou. Prime Minister Bainimarama of Fiji, other Pacific leaders, distinguished guests, heads of delegation and delegates, colleagues and friends. In opening, can I first extend apologies from New Zealand's Minister for Climate Change, the Honourable James Shaw. Minister Shaw and our Ambassador for Climate Change, Kay Harrison, are unfortunately able to join us this evening as they continue co-facilitation of efforts to negotiate an outcome on Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. I'm sure you will join me in wishing them well for that process. For those who don't know me, my name is Helen Plume and I'm the alternate head of delegation for New Zealand. New Zealand has been absolutely delighted to partner with the Government of Fiji and the Secretariat of SPREP to deliver the Moana Blue Pacific Pavilion. We've been pleased to see such a wonderful product, one that has been ably staffed by a very committed pavilion team and which has played host to such a wide range of high quality and well-attended events here at COP25. Can I extend New Zealand's thanks to Prime Minister Bainimarama and to his team from the Government of Fiji, as well as Kosi Latu and his team from SPREP, for their hard work, dedication and commitment to ensuring this pavilion has been such a big success. Also, a big thank you to our New Zealand team, to Rachel and others who have played such a big role in pulling all this together. We know that the Pacific is one of the regions that will be most affected by climate change. One of the aims of the Moana Blue Pacific Pavilion was to raise awareness of this challenge and for promoting Pacific issues, interests and opportunities, whether this is ocean acidification, coastal protection, Pacific carbon markets or any of the other myriad climate-related issues facing our region. This pavilion has provided a platform to showcase these to the thousands of COP25 participants. Not only has the pavilion achieved this aim, but it also has done it in a uniquely Pacific way through colourful, vibrant and informative events. In the process, it has brought some Pacific flavour to COP25. The beautiful Pacific scenery on these walls, the sound of drums, which we just heard, and songs around the carver bowl, all serve to remind us of what is special and unique about our Blue Pacific. It also reminds us of what is at risk if the world does not transition to a low emissions future, which is why COP25 must move us towards this transition. At the opening reception, Minister Shaw spoke of his discussions with fellow Pacific ministers, of their call for greater global ambition, of the need for more action, and of their commitment to delivering on the ground at local levels. New Zealand is committed to supporting this work. We have sought to do this here in Madrid through joint efforts across a range of negotiations and through this fabulous pavilion. We're also committed to supporting the Pacific back home through our collective efforts to reduce emissions, to adapt to a changing climate, and building a low emissions future where the Pacific we enjoy today can also be enjoyed by our children and our grandchildren tomorrow. Ngā mihi nui, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Prime Minister of Fiji, Honourable Voreqe Bainimarama, the Honourable Prime Minister of Tonga, the Under Secretary General of the UN, ministers from the region, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, can I also acknowledge Helen Plume, the Deputy Head of the New Zealand delegation. I also want to acknowledge the Minister of Climate Change of New Zealand, James Shaw, even though he's not here, he's busy negotiating, and also Ambassador Kay Harrison. The last 2 weeks, as a region, we have been busy negotiating. We've been busy telling our story to the region. We've been advocating strongly about our concerns and what matters to us. And so while we close this pavilion tonight, those negotiations are ongoing, even right now as I speak. We heard earlier on from some of the side events in this pavilion that the negotiations have not been very easy. In fact, there's been the opposite on all of the thematic areas. But we have come here as a region with high expectations. I was interviewed about an hour and a half ago by a journalist who asked me a very pointed question. And she said, we note that every year the Pacific come to negotiate at COPs, but we always seem to go back frustrated. And so why do we continue to negotiate? A very important question. So I said, you see, we cannot give up. We must have hope. We must have faith. Because if we stop negotiating, then we might as well pack up and go home. Because for us, it's not just another issue that we're talking about. It's for us, it's a matter of survival. It's a matter of life and death. So we cannot give up. And so I know that when the ministers will be meeting to take on the difficult task of trying to reach agreement on these difficult issues, we know that our ministers from the region will argue, will fight, will advocate strongly for what matters for us. We know that they don't just speak for the Pacific, they will be speaking for all of us. I used to remember a proverb by the former Prime Minister of Tuvalu, Sopoanga. He used to say, save Tuvalu, save the world. And so what matters to us as a region also matters for all of us. We're talking about the survival of this planet, and that means everyone. It surprises me that we know what to do, we have all the science, and yet we seem to be doing the opposite. It surprises me that we have all the technology and the human intellect, and yet it seems that we are going backwards. Just seems illogical. And so I really do hope that at this COP that we will be able to make progress. I know that the UK, the host of the COP26, are very anxious about the outcomes of this COP, because what happens at this COP will determine in a lot of ways what will happen in Glasgow. And so my prayer is that, that things will improve from now onwards. Enough about the negotiations. can I just echo what has been said before? I wanted to thank the government of Fiji and the government of New Zealand. Thank you so much. Without your support, this pavilion would not be here. We've had people from the region and people from all over the world come in and out, and they have been amazed by what is happening in this pavilion. This has been a place of talanoa. This has been a place where we've had the kava bowl running. This has been a place where we've had Pacific music. It's a place where we've come to not just meet and talk, but a place where we're telling our story. We're reminding the world that, hey, we're still here. We haven't gone away. And so thank you so much to New Zealand and Fiji. I'd like to encourage our other partners in the region, like Australia, perhaps maybe the UK, maybe the EU, to join Fiji and New Zealand in continuing to support this pavilion. When I look around, there's so many people from different regions, from representatives of our partners. So, you know, I'm challenging you. I'm encouraging you to join us in making sure that we continue with this pavilion. We've had over 60 side events hosted at this pavilion. Over 10,000 people have entered this pavilion. This pavilion has been a hit, and we believe that this pavilion will continue next year with the funding of the government of New Zealand, Helen, yes. And I'm looking at my friend, the Honourable Prime Minister of Fiji, and of course the other partners, Australia. I see Celeste nodding her head. She's committing the Prime Minister of Australia, that's good. But ladies and gentlemen, can I just close by saying that this pavilion has managed to also collect an enormous amount of information, an enormous amount of documents, videos, that if you wanted to make use of that information, we are more than happy to do that. And so don't forget that. I would like to finish off by thanking all of the people that have made this pavilion a success. And I want to thank our Rako brothers. Can we give them a big hand? Skills and Yanni, thank you so much. You guys are multi-talented. You can sing, dance, play the drums, do anything. You're amazing. And we want to thank Rachel from IMFAD. I don't know if she's around, but thank you, Rachel. And to all my SPREP team, Tangaloa, who's just left to go back for a family emergency, for Nanette, and Audrey, Angelica, Chris, Epeli, Leanne, Tewila, thank you very much for all your hard work. Then, of course, I want to thank my brother in crime, no, I shouldn't say that, my good friend and brother Taholo, and also Anna Broadhurst from New Zealand. We formed the steering committee of this pavilion, and so I've really appreciated your support in making this a success. So with those few words, thank you so much to all of you for making this pavilion a success. And I'd like to just finish up by saying, I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Malobit.
Everything is fine.